Hey everyone, I'm here. We're going to do a money one here. A little bit of speaking about the money. Um, and all of our previous attempts today with Laurel to do that interview, we will get that done in divine timing in the near future. So everything is cool with that. Uh, let's just, without getting into depth with money, let's just say the ideology or the concept of money was introduced, to the planet whenever, thousands of years ago. It was introduced, as an instrument of, it was introduced in good faith and as an instrument to assure the advancement of the human civilization, but also a much more rapid advancement in conjunction with the rest of the universes that were connected to and are connected to Earth. So timelines are, we have no time, meaning that we can go forward or back. Time does not restrict because it does not exist for us. And in this way, we do manage the timelines. We manage the movies, yeah, that play out, and you're in one of these movies here right now, as you know. But we don't. I don't want to go too deep into that. What we do is, we address the things at hand in this now. And so with this money thing, it was introduced to the planet, but what happened very quickly again was the dark took it over, took control of it, and said, "Hey, here's a good thing to control humanity." Well, that was okay, but it got out of hand, and again, that's another reason why we're here. And one of your most significant signs that it got out of hand was, with Jesus in the temple when he come in, and this is recorded, and which is a true thing on these timelines, and he swiped the table, and he got a little bit, upset about what was going on with the money because it was very, very easily seen how money was being steered to pillage, take advantage of people, and control them, back then. And it was not meant, again, to be that way. It was meant to be an advancement vehicle for the civilization. So, without saying much more on that, uh, this is part of the reason we're here now to clean this up and take us out of that transition of, or sorry, to take us out of the use of money as it was and to transition into a place where you need no money. Now, this is going to happen very rapidly. It's going to fluctuate for so many of us because, uh, at this time, you're getting your light bodies, your interdimensional abilities. So that means we're allowed to go to lots of timelines here in the near future. So you're not restricted to one timeline. So, for instance, you could be restricted to a timeline where money is in use, and to get to the opposite of that, you can be in another timeline where money is not in use. And, it depends on the individual, but we don't wish to complicate things in that respect again, because this video is about the timelines we're on and about the control of money and why we're here. So, many things, again, have set up for this time in respect to money. And, seeds have been planted. And one of the best, most blatant seeds, to be planted was uh, the United States use of money. And it's not the use of it, it was the printing of it, that and the creation of fiat money, digital money that was created. Just got to shut my phone off here. What this had showed you, um, the U.S. printing money, but also the banks, that they digitally create money as well. All of that money is not in circulation to cover the money that is out there. The money that is out there is, I believe it's 95% of it, or perhaps 90%, is digital money, meaning that there is no real paper or coin currency to back it. There really is no bullion. A lot of that money in the assets are not there to cover it. So what has happened with money? Lots of money has been created out of thin air. So this is very interesting. And what it shows you, where they can print and create money at will, this means, therefore, then they can print and create money to wipe out poverty. So actually what they have done it's been so beautiful for the US, creating this imaginary debt, because that's what it is. No one is indebted at all. It's an illusion with the control of money to keep humanity suppressed and controlled. So it's absolutely funny and ridiculous what they have done. But getting more serious, it's the reason we're here to break that down, because it has suppressed society. The human civilization is what it has suppressed. So we need to catch them up and keep in line with the rest of the connections through these timelines to the planet Earth, which are, many other planets and universes, without complicating things. So things are kept in sync, and Gaia and the timelines here were kept behind. So we're catching them up, and to try to make it simple. So with this money thing, it was very well shown, and it's a very excellent tool to know that it was created, that money is constantly created out of thin air. And one does not have to be a very, let's say, very bright or even high in consciousness to know this, that very simply, if money can be created out of thin air, why is all there this war and poverty and sickness? Because in reality, and in the blink of an eye, everything can be changed, that everything is perfect upon the surface. And, the US has demonstrated that to you by showing you that there is no limit to the amount of money that can be created. So therefore, if there is no limit that it can be created to infinity, which it can, because what they've already done defies economics and the economical structure that they teach in schools that societies in the planet operates on. And what's so comical too, when they started printing the money beyond acceptable proportions at that time, human consciousness had expanded to the degree that all these professional economists and such were saying, hey, something's wrong here, it's not adding up. So with their intellect, very quickly you had many of these professionals just hauling back from the system and said, there's something definitely wrong here. None of this is actually making any sense, how the planet is operating. And very quickly, a lot of those economists, they come out of their professions, even, ones in the stock markets, the financial markets, and all of this. It becomes so blatant to them how things were not so ridiculous how they were set up. So so that brings us, up to today, that so many more are awakening in professionals, and it's all ridiculous. And you can look at accounting, you can look at projected earnings, like instruments they use in the financial markets on basing the value of a stock, especially with the banks love to do this. They have what they call the PE, which is projected earnings into the future, that, hey, these are projected earnings, and it's a basis for the value of our stock. But in reality, all of these banks, for any stock, there are underwriters, and the underwriters are the banks, which determine when they raise money for the banks. Yeah, they do this, and they do it through, one of the vehicles, private placements, the sort of debentures. And they get people to buy shares into these. But the whole stock market and any of the financial markets, it's all controlled, and it's designed to operate and function as let's say, a pillage of the public. And the pensions is, and it's a form of control of the people there. So what they do, they set up an illusion, that invest and, save for your retirement. But the whole time, what they're doing is they dictate in the past what you get at your retirement. And many of you, and many of us at this age, that what the pensions are, where they are actually, take in Canada, they are below the poverty level. Like, it's just so ridiculous. After years and years, magically the pensions are below the living standards, which is absolutely primitive and savage, if you look at it, and uncivilized. So, just so many total contradictions that have become so blatant. I won't go further in that, which I could talk all day on that, and many of you know it, but we don't need to do that. Just sharing a little bit more info with you. So, so we're here to break that down, and we're doing it. And the seeds have been put in motion, prior to 2011. Some have been here before that, planting the initial seeds to break that down, and for this time. Now, money as you know it is breaking down, and currently around the planet there are different monetary programs being set up. There's cryptocurrencies, there's ones that they understand, and they have a very justable means that they are creating their own money even. And they're creating their own money because they exist. And this is actually, how the governments and things create money. They create money because you exist too. So very ingenious people, around the world. But not only, the cryptocurrencies are being created, digital currencies, right? And really, with any monetary system, all you need is the people joining it and accepting it, and it brings it into existence. And also the opposite holds true. When someone no longer accepts a currency, like you could say the US currency, when you have the global population just all saying, no, it's worth nothing, very quickly that currency goes out of existence. You don't have the money. It's the support and the belief in the money that really actually keeps it here and functioning as it is. And at any time in divinity, as we said, we can take it right out of the picture. And very quickly, with some mass landings, or even just doing it down here manually, by transitioning the different ways that money was used, by us transitioning them now, is doing it and bringing us closer to where you will not need money. Because really, the value of money right now, it has been shown that it's absolutely ridiculous and that you don't need it. And it's also showing you that it's a hindrance to human advancement. And that's exactly what it is. So, let's see, I got a bunch of quick notes wrote down here. Um, Getting back to the currency. So I wish to share with you that yes, behind the scenes over the last several years, also there have been uh, several, to perhaps you could say more than several, currencies being set up by groups and people. And also, these other currencies can very well come into fruition, and it depends on the people. But what's interesting about this is if you look at the percentages of the elite and wealthy into comparison to what are like middle class or poverty, actually, what you will find is that who these new currencies would benefit the most is actually 99% of the populace of the planet. So you can see there how quickly things can change. So, if that support by the planet was taken away from existing currencies, they no longer exist. And, you jump on the bandwagon with a people's money, just for an example, right? It just shows you how things can be created and uncreated very quickly. But what comes along with that is the awareness and the awareness of all knowing that how quickly they can change, how quickly the people can change this planet. And with the internet and everything today, it can be done really in the blink of an eye. So very rapidly, this could be done, but it is also happening. As we mentioned, the RVs, the currency resets, these financial instruments, uh, again, they're only going to be temporary measurements. But um, let's say one of their important reasons why they're being introduced is to force the old system to collapse. So, these RV and resets of currencies, when this comes to fruition, if we're on these timelines, which we may very well be, well, then, that is a huge uh, stepping stone, yeah, into the next very quick leap of humanity's advancement, getting out of the money. But anyhow, many things will need to be learned on these lower timelines, and it will be applied. And, this is the pattern. It's been seeded this way. It's not by chance. It's divinely orchestrated to do it this way. One thing, you are not restricted to these timelines and to the control of money either, where many of you that are watching are going, and you know it in your own heart, because you've been given that much divine knowledge, at least, that we're not staying in these places with the use of money like it is. It's your freedom and your sovereignty, not only as a divine being, but as a divine being occupying a human organic vessel. These restrictions are going to be taken off. So, you're here now. Yeah, money is controlling and dictating, what you do. And what you need to do, some of you, is surrender and don't let the money do it. You control the money. So you're flipping that energetically. And what you're doing is, through your mental and divine abilities, is that you're letting go of running for the money, and you're just sitting back and say, okay, if it's supposed to come, it comes. I'm cool with that. I'll do this while I'm waiting if I need it. So, that's a huge learning process. And I know I just said it's so simple, but the conditioning as well that you're trying to override in the human brain, that you need money. It is a challenging one, because it has been imprinted as well and conditioned in your brain that you need the money. And they do this to keep you just focused on, one currency, like the US money in your mind. When you think you need money, it's US money. And what you do, you keep energizing that, and you get caught in the foolish game of, going after the money. And what it does, it takes your focus away from when you stand back and say, what do we really need money for? This is ridiculous. And then when you enter that you're able to manifest what you need, well, then you say, well, if I can manifest it, why do I need to keep running out and trying to find the money? And so you're saying that what you're doing is actually flipping the control, and you're mastering that control money head on you, and you're changing the energy with it to bring to you only what you need. Now, it's important with money, you do not want to integrate within your manifestation the greed aspect. And your intent, has to be good for all, and it has to be a non-greed intent, meaning that when you request money, or trying to manifest it, meaning that it is pure, that you only want enough, or what you're manifesting, manifest a little to assist another. But what you don't want to be doing as well is trying to manifest a lot of money for someone else, which then really it actually disempowers them, because if they got lots of money, they get in their comfort zones, and they don't advance, and then they're only adding energy to the old that we're here to break. So there's many restrictions put on this, with each one manifesting. And also, you need to learn the discipline. I saw my buddy was there, blue orb up behind me. You need to learn the discipline of, and the respect of the divine prowess that you contain in your manifestations. So this is what we're trying to share with you, so earnestly all the time, is that you got to let go of that conditioning, and learn to master this, master the energy, and flip this up, and take the energy away from the control of money. So it's a process, I know, and but you're all doing it bit by bit. Everything is an advancement, is a progression. You are not really going back. Anytime you might go back a little bit, there's a lesson to learn with money, a lesson to learn about its control, a lesson and an observation to learn about its effects and how it may control others. And, with that knowledge that you learn from those observations, you're able to change things in the now and the immediate futures, by knowing, that really, from this human aspect, it is very, let's say, pathetic, and it's a kind of a sick feeling for me when I see these ones running after this money. The money's controlling them, and it is, from a human perspective, a kind of a sad thing to watch, but it registers, as sad, because your soul tells you that it's something that needs to be corrected. So I'm sharing with you, that's your soul recognizing it's something here that we need to correct. So you will get a pathetic or a sad feeling from that, you know. So it's because it's the energy associated with it. It's not what we are. We are good. We are pure. We are love, and you know, we are sovereign as well. So anything that is contradictory to, you know, love, sovereignty, and good, you're going to feel it, you know, down in your sacral or your heart space as a negative thing. When you look at the energy of it, it's reflected back into you as an empath as negative energy. And, you know, it catches your attention. But what you do is you don't let it keep you down. You say, okay, it registered. I got the energy from it. It's bad energy, and it's negative, and it's controlling. So we got to clean it up. And then what you do, you know, that sick feeling leaves you, and then you began to train the brain to think about ways uh, to break the control of money. And the last thing you don't want to be doing is throwing money at money. That's no, that don't break the control. So, you know, bit by bit, each is learning. Um, you know, just quickly going back, like the way the legal systems are set up, the legislation, securities markets. I know some of you have been introduced to it. I was a personal trader. I traded for myself, and it was part of my human experience to learn the financial markets inside out, how they worked. How the governments and the banks and, you know, all of this is a corrupt syndicate. The foundation of the financial systems is based not in integrity. So, you know, really, these systems will not stand the test of time, and they're very quickly imploding and eroding because of that. So, you know, these financial systems as they are, they cannot remain intact. They're not energetically supported. They are not in line with divine energy that's being put on the planet. So that means they must cease and decease, or yeah, what is it? Cease and decease, or no longer exist. So this will happen, and it's transitioning now, and it's a beautiful thing to see, you know, with the banks losing all control of the people and the money, and you know the governments which uh, were in collusion with the banks as well. This is all coming apart at the seams. It's unstoppable. They cannot stop it. There's just so much documentation out there that they cannot censor it all. You know, they try to censor certain parts, but you know, they had lost a long time ago in 2012, actually. However, so you know, you're hearing me speak. You use your heart in what I say, and you know, like a credit, Mary saying it, credit and debt, none of that. It's all an illusion. It's, you know, for instance, it's ridiculous. Why don't you just go and create $1 billion for yourself and say that the bank owes you a bunch of money, you know, for taking up your time and all this? And you can do it, and that's very, really legit, because virtually it's the same thing they're doing. They're just creating an imaginary debt that you owe them, but it really does not exist. The only way it exists is if you believe it exists, and they control you in that way. So, you know, you have the choices. If you wish to support the monetary systems where you give away your consent and you allow the monetary systems to control you, then, you know, that's your choice. But there are also many that no, you want your freedom that you have, and you know, you can look at yourself. You may be a person on the street, and just quickly compare yourself to a high-ranking banker. There is no difference. You're just So if you're the guy on the street, you're just as good as that high-ranking banker in reality. So money means nothing. The only time it means something is when you believe and make it to mean something and give away your consent and allow money to control you. Then it will control you and it will lead you in many places. And I can assure you right now that divinely, for many of you, this is why your material things were taken away. You know, why all this money access was taken away from you against what you would consider astronomical odds. It's to bring you here for this time, it's to prepare you, and it's to learn, it's for to learn you to have respect and discipline for yourself, for the actual divinity that is happening. It's to assist you to surrender to what you are and to take you out of that conditioning where you believe you need money, because the money is a 4D thing. You are a multi-dimensional thing. So it becomes an anchor, you know, to lower dimensional things. And you know, the more you're focused on money, you'll be focused on material things that'll keep you here. So you'll be focused on trying to buy all these things. Why, hey, over there, there's UFO landed, taking people on to get them out of here. You know, so just to try to give a hypothetical situation. So don't let money control you. You have what you need, and when you fully surrender and trust to the higher power that you know that is there, the angels, the God, and you know all of divinity, you know you are provided for. So you just keep going here with the times. Now there's some of you that do have money, and you know you've been and believe in God, and you have a certain aspect of wealth, and again you have retained that for these times as well. And for those of you with that wealth, you know, you share with the others to assist anyone that may be struggling a little bit. But the thing is, you know, you don't buy people, and you do not buy your way to heaven. And also, when you assist someone with money, there is no debt. They do not need to pay you back. You're only given with your heart to others, and you don't expect anything in return, and that's so important. So the wealthy ones of you out there, you know, assist others, and you could say that you're assisting yourself also. You're not buying your way into heaven, but you're doing what is right and what is in alignment with the divine energies upon the planet, and you do get your rewards out of it. But I don't wish for you to think of it as a way of buying your way into heaven. You use your discretion and your divine discipline at when you see someone that is placed before you that is asking for genuine assistance. You don't hesitate, you do it. You don't run, if you have lots of money, you don't run out in the streets trying to save everyone with it. No, use your discretion. There will be ones divinely placed before you to assist. And that energetic exchange goes beyond just a little bit of money. There is a lot more involved, as you know. So what you do is you be responsible with your wealth and apply it where you're divinely instructed to for it to go, you know, from your heart, what resonates, and also your connection to the divine plan and divinity. Or we're still using money slightly here because we're transitioning out of it, and we are on the timelines where the money is intact. So while you're here, you know, we can play the game a little bit like that, and that's what it is. But you know what to do, and as always, follow your own, what resonates in your heart for what I say. And I speak to wide audiences on all levels, and this is why sometimes what I say will not resonate for someone, and why it will resonate for others. And I have no reserves, and I speak to all, and many of you know that. And I have no issues with anyone at all that disagrees with a certain perspective I put out there, because I'm going to be blunt that I understand that all perspectives are correct. And, you know, if someone questions or opposes what I say, you know, that is their thing, because if their perspective or their belief is different at that certain time, you must go, you know, over here a little bit to learn things. But let's say at the end of this ascension, they might have went over here for a bit, but hey, I meet them up here when we're up here to, you know, the where we're going with this ascension, and you know, and up there, then we laugh about all the games that was played, all the beliefs, and you know, how it controlled and dictated the human experience and all of this. But you know, all beliefs and perspectives are correct. They are correct for the individual, and and that is so beautiful about this as well. But it's important. This is why don't pass judgment on anyone, because you know there is a role playing here as well. And you do know it is complicated, because there are many divine things happening all at once, and sometimes it could become confusing. But to lessen that confusion, you know, you leave go of the fear. You try to integrate the non-judgment of others, and replace it with an understanding, you know, that they're going through things in their development. So it's you know, it's quite a process, and I sit back here and I openly speak about it, and I quickly speak about it, and I do know that it takes a long time for some with these challenges, because it's been conditioned and imprinted into a human brain. And what you're trying to do is fit a divine being into a human vessel, and you know, you got to throw out some of that stuff out of the brain when you're trying to get in there, you know, trying to establish your full divinity within the physical vessel, where you got to dive into that brain and throw out all that garbage, you know, and start putting the good divine things in, the new you, so that, you know, you create good new stuff, and that you're not creating from that old human place where all the garbage is at. You know, that's got to go. So it's a funny thing, and yeah, it takes time moving, as all of you know. Sometimes when you just literally go move your location, it takes a few days to get everything packed up, and you know, packed in the vehicle and get it out of there. Some goes to the curb, you know, some goes on the shelf. But really, with with this moving, you know, getting relocated with this, the most simplest way to do it is that when you're getting ready to move, is that you just put all your belongings out on the curb to be picked up for garbage, because where you're going to have all new and different things, and you don't want to be carrying a bunch of luggage, because with this, you don't really know where your next location's going to be. So you want to travel light, as light and free as you can. So when you're ready to detach from the old realities and what that human part of you had collected over the years, just let it go, throw it in the garbage, and get your new stuff, what you need, very light, and you keep going forward. And with this, really all you need is your heart and mind, and your connection to God, and connection to the collective, and you have everything you need. However, again, easy said, yes, and a little bit challenging for some to do, but let me say that many have done it, and many more are doing it, and they know it's real. This is not some fictitious thing. It's not some fantasy. Actually, it's a dream come true, is what it is, and you're living it. And the sooner you step more into it, the more fun you have, and the more that you realize that it is true. So own your divinity. Let nothing stop you. Okay, back to the couple notes, and I assume got to end this. So yeah, I covered that. You were showing that money can be printed to infinity. Therefore, in the blink of an eye, poverty, sickness, war, everything can be wiped out. If it was in the good intents of the politicians and the governments ruling the world, if their intent and their concern was for the people and the human civilization, they could do that. When they print the money, don't give it to the banks. Just print the money and share it equally where it's supposed to be, and to wipe out poverty. Yeah. This is one of the things with the Vatican, that they got caught with their pants down, if you will. The Vatican, um, the vast stores of wealth that they had there, and investments and all of this, and they're out saying that they are a messenger of God, when they were just hoarding wealth, while they let poverty and all of these things exist on the planet. No, very quickly, they were the creators of their own demise, and this is the way divinity works, and it continues to work. Anything that is not divine and with the intent for the good of all implodes in it. And that sequence began in 2011 and 12. It became, how will I say, it was, it was the priority. I'm looking for the word, but I can't find it here right now, so I don't need it. But, that's what was initiated. So anything contrary to the good for all, peace and love and all of this, it's imploding. A lot of it has, and more of it is. Ah, yeah. So, money caused all the world's problems. Not money itself, the actual money thing, because money could have been one of the most beautiful things in the advancement of the human civilization. Money is good when it's used with a good heart and good intent, and when it's shared. It was, the hoarding of it and the misuse of it and the controlling aspects of it, what has created money's demise as it was and as it is. So again, it contradicts the energetics, the divine energetics being applied to the planet, and these things are going. So, yeah, there's this weird squeaky noise. Yeah, it's a table or what have you. So, with the money thing, that was just, just sharing some things about it, and, perhaps some other ways you can perceive it, and, look at, and take, again, only what resonates. And if you're pretty neutral, well, then perhaps entertain a little bit more deeper some of the things I touched on, if you wish to arrive at a greater understanding of you know the dynamics involved in the actual energetic control of money. And when you get deep into the dynamics of it, that's where you quickly learn about the energetics. And you can, and part of your creation here is you're able to change the polarity of the energetics of the money, the transaction involved. And by doing that, especially in this time, let's say if there's a transaction, I'll give you a quick example of it. Let's say if there's a monetary transaction from a person of wealth, which is divine, and they've been awakened and they know what to do now. So let's say if there's a transaction from them to, let's say, a homeless person on the street that they know they were led to divinely, and that, you know, they know in their heart they're to assist that certain one because they know that one is divine also. And, you know, they can feel the soul, but they know this wealthy person that they're placed to assist them. So let's say they go to that homeless one and they, you know, give them $1,000 to get some clothes, get set up, perhaps get a better shelter where winter is coming on, you know, and start to assist them. Well, because it's given from the wealthy person with the good intent, pure intent from their heart, selfless intent, and compassionate intent, and with unconditional love, they're to do that act where it's so pure. When they do that act and they assist this one that was divinely put before them to assist, well, for them as well, you know, they will be given more opportunities of assisting more, and you know, their reward is, it's not in money. We don't want the wealthy one, you know, thinking that if I do a good thing that I'm going to receive more money. No, you know, when you do this, what you receive is the rewards and the gratification and the satisfaction of actually seeing the love for the other when you assist them. So, you know, these things are so important, and what it does, it's contagious, because when you do this out of unconditional love, the polarity is fully positive, meaning that where the divine polarity of the planet uh, is positively charged. You know, these transaction guy that you help out, then, you know, he may start attracting for himself what he needs and what he requires. And, you know, he may have a friend that sleeping under a tree down in the woods, you know, but he gets straightened up, then he's able to go and assist that his friend later and do the same thing. And these events, they're seated, you know, like this, and they are energized and they don't stop. They keep going. What does stop is the negative energetics involved in the money. For instance, you go and help someone out, and the moment you're expecting a return, you're entering negativity into that, and it's going to cause different things that are not in line with um, unconditional love and everything, and it's going to implode and it's going to cause negative things. So just trying to keep it simple, the energetics of the monetary transactions. And this is why also it's so important when you teachers are assisting others to not try to put that control on, and do not set a monetary value. You know, just put it there on a donation basis and let the one donate what's in their heart. Then it's pure. So you got to fully surrender to that. You got to break away uh, from the control of money and the fear aspects that are attached with it. So this is what's controlling you, is the fear aspects connected to the money. So you got to eliminate those aspects. Then your finances in the near term, you'll be able to change them in a divine way. Once you start controlling how the energetics work in just modest, divine, responsible ways, then you are assured and guaranteed that you always have enough. So trying to trying to keep this as simple, you know, as I can. And so I'll leave it there. I've been rambling on enough. You know, once I get going, I don't usually don't stop. I just keep rambling and rambling. But sometimes enough is enough on some of these subjects. And so great. I have a couple interviews lined up for tonight. One, I believe, shortly. Um, you know, as we're expanding more with the Ascension, this is happening globally, not just me, the others. You know, we're reaching out and connecting and touching with so many. This is building. This is the most formidable divine force ever upon the planet, the leagues of angels, and all the divine other groups, groups that you were uh, oblivious to, or let's say perhaps not into contact yet, but excuse me, but it's happening, and the unity is occurring, and you're seeing that build, and part of this is through the internets, and connecting many this way. So it's all happening, everyone, and we're doing it, and we're building it, and everything as you knew it will not be the same, and it's changing so rapidly. So keep doing the beautiful stuff you're doing, keep putting out the love, and just support wherever you can the good divine things. It means so much, and try to act and react always out of a state of love and no fear. And that's so empowering when you can do that. And I know some of you are already doing it, and many of you are very close to mastering some of those last hurdles of the fear. So we are always going forward. And for, I have the liberty to speak with so many of you, so I am always kept up to date on the immense progress that, the collective as a whole is making, but also the individual progresses, are just totally amazing. And it's, again, it's all beautiful. So I love you, and from my heart. Have a great one. And we'll see you soon on another interview. We got good things coming up. So have a great one. Good night. Love and light.